The MLB's off-season trade market's already up and running, so who's likely to be the next player? We thought it'd be best to focus on players whose teams might want to trade them, like when there are too many positions, not enough money, and people sometimes don't get along. In this video, we'll discuss the top MLB players most likely to be dangled in trade chatter. First off, the White Sox trading Lucas Giolito. When the New York Post wrote, "Teams are asking about ace right-handed pitcher Lucas Giolito," that's how we knew he was a possible trade candidate. Still, the White Sox have good reasons not to listen. If they traded Giolito now, they'd be selling low and making an even bigger hole in their starting rotation. But the White Sox are also having trouble paying their bills. The Athletic's James Fegan said the Southsiders want to spend $180 million in 2023. That's just $8 million more than expected. That's why they might be willing to save an estimated $10.8 million by getting rid of Giolito. For other teams, taking him would mean taking a risk with a clear reward. Even though Giolito needs to get his speed back, this is the same guy who pitched 427.2 innings with a 3.47 ERA between 2019 and 2021. Up next, Tampa Bay Rays trading Tyler Glasnow. The Rays traded some pitchers in the end, but not Tyler Glasnow. But his upcoming salaries are a reason to think that a deal like this could still happen. From $5.4 million to $25 million in 2024 is a huge jump. What's more surprising is that the Rays agreed to it when they gave Glasnow a contract extension in August. Glasnow still had the hard fastball and hammer curveball that made him successful before the surgery, which he famously blamed on MLB's crackdown on sticky stuff. He didn't throw more than 64 pitches in any of his 3 starts after the surgery, including one in the postseason. If Glasnow's durability improves by 2023, his salary for 2024 will be flexible. If the Rays ever want to get something for him, the winter might be their best chance, followed by Chicago Cubs trading Ian Happ. If the Cubs don't trade Ian Happ, it wouldn't be the first time that's been said. At the trade deadline on August 2nd, the Northsiders surprised everyone by keeping Happ. It wouldn't be surprising if they did it again this winter. Why? Well, it's usually a good idea for teams who want to compete to keep Gold Glove winners. Mark Feinsand of MLB.com said Happ might start the 23 season in a different uniform. If this turns out to be accurate, it could be because the Cubs think they still need to make the playoffs, especially if they miss out on Carlos Correa in free agency like last winter. Or the Cubs might trade Happ because they think this winter's a good time to sell when the price is high. Even though Happ has had many good moments, he didn't have a good season until this year. Considering how old he is, it could be a one-off. Moving on to New York Yankees trading Gleyber Torres. There was a possibility that the Yankees would try to move a middle infielder in the same segment where Heyman mentioned Giolito as a possible trade candidate. That means Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, or better yet, Gleyber Torres. Not too long ago, the Yankees tried to trade the second baseman who'd been an All-Star twice. We heard they came close to trading Torres to the Miami Marlins in August for right-handed pitcher Pablo Lopez. Things are going on that make Torres less likely to be traded, at least until they can re-sign Aaron Judge. The Yankees can't spare any bats for an offense that was shut down in the ALCS. But if the Yankees do re-sign Judge, it would be worth at least looking into a Torres trade. If New York isn't trying to get a piece they need, like a late-inning reliever, they might try to make a trade to free up a roster spot or more money so they can sign one of the top shortstops in free agency.
Torres hits one to right center field, and that ball is gone.
Next, Milwaukee Brewers trading Hunter Renfroe. If the Brewers didn't trade Corbin Burnes, it'd be a big deal if they traded one of their other stars, like Brandon Woodruff, Willy Adames, or even Christian Yelich, who was the National League MVP in 2018. Still, this seems unlikely. Colton Wong or Hunter Renfroe's likely to be used as trade chips. Even though the first player is a good trade candidate on his own, it might be better for the Brewers to trade the second player. One reason is that they'd avoid a walk-year salary expected to be $11.2 million. The Brewers could put the money they save towards some of their more critical needs, like getting more pitchers or someone good at defense. Even though Renfroe has a great arm, he doesn't do that, but his bat's a lot of fun to watch. He can hit 30 home runs. Players who can do that will be in demand even if the rules change in 2023 to make the game less about the 3 actual outcomes. Not to mention the Miami Marlins trading Pablo Lopez. Regarding pitchers, they are more spoiled than they used to be. In August, top prospect Max Meyer had to have surgery for Tommy John, and in September, Sixto Sanchez had his second shoulder surgery in as many years. Still, the Marlins need more power for an offense that finished last in the National League in scoring, and since their payroll for 2023 is already going to be more than what they spent in 2022, trades seem like a better way to get more power than free agency. Lopez is an excellent person to give up for this reason. He's a good pitcher without being good enough to be the best, so he's much more expendable than Sandy Alcantara, who just won the National League Cy Young Award. The fact that his team still owns him for 2 more years should be as appealing to buyers as his talent. Let's learn more about Arizona Diamondbacks trading Jake McCarthy. Even though the Diamondbacks went 74-88 last season, they have a lot of left-handed outfielders now. Cue Mike Hazen to get an idea. This was before the Diamondbacks made a trade with the Seattle Mariners for Kyle Lewis. He seemed well on to becoming a right-handed slugger when he won the American League Rookie of the Year award in 2020. But if the Snakes want to get someone with more experience, they might still try to trade one of their outfielders who hits left-handed. Jake McCarthy, who just finished 4th in the NL Rookie of the Year voting, is the best at balancing being valuable but expendable. His stats aren't great, but his 98th percentile sprint speed will be an asset if more people try to steal bases because the pitch clock, bigger bases, and limits on pickoffs make it harder. Plus, having the club in charge for 6 more years is a lot. Coming up, Seattle Mariners trade left fielder Jesse Winker. Winker was just traded to the Mariners from the Reds earlier this year, but his offense isn't the only reason Seattle gave up on him. He was getting old and his teammates were tired of him. That's a yikes, but Winker could still be an excellent change of scenery candidate. He had a great .945 OPS in 2020 and 2021. If he could get back to that level of performance, his new team would be able to be more patient with whatever act he brings to the table. Next, Toronto Blue Jays trading catcher Danny Jansen. There may be nothing rarer in baseball than too many talented catchers, but that's what the Blue Jays have. Danny Jansen, Alejandro Kirk, and Gabriel Moreno don't have a weak link since all 3 can hit, but Jansen seems to be the odd man out. Kirk got most of the reps during an All-Star campaign in 2022. Moreno started the year as a top 10 prospect, hitting .319 in 25 games with the big club. To call his future bright would be an understatement. It seems possible that the Blue Jays could trade Jansen for a player who could step in, such as a mid-rotation starter or a late-inning reliever.
Well hit ball to right center field.
Finally, Oakland Athletics trading catcher Sean Murphy. It might be a stretch to say that the Athletics also has a lot of catchers. That's one reason why the A's might try to sell Murphy. Another is that it'd help them cut their payroll even more after this year's fire sale. He's expected to earn $3.5 million in arbitration. There's also the fact that other teams seem desperate to get their hands on Murphy. Even the general manager said that many other clubs seemed interested in Murphy, mainly in the offseason. With his Gold Glove winning defense, incredible power, and 3 years left on his contract, Murphy should have enough trade value to get the A's a lot of prospects. Since the team's rebuild is still in its early stages, they need as many as possible. And on that note, that's a wrap for this video. Which player will most likely be traded in the upcoming season? Do some teams decide against trading ultimately? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.